The biggest sign since the Revelation 12 sign. Shalom brothers and sisters who have arrived here on this channel. Right now, something tremendous is happening in the skies, which is an alignment of all of the planets of our solar system towards the constellation of Pisces, the constellation of the fishes. Simply all of the planets are aligning towards the fishes, and this is major, this is huge, because I believe this is the biggest sign since the Revelation 12 sign, because it's pointing towards the birth of the fishes, the birth of the sons of God, which are the fishes, according also to John 21. Fishes are the sons of God because there was 153 fishes caught with Jesus, and 153 means the sons of God. So for me, this biggest sign since the Revelation 12 sign are pointing towards the division, the separation of the fishes, the birth of the sons of God. I'm gonna show you guys why this is happening in the skies right now. So we have this huge earth clock in which I showed you guys in the last video, which I encourage you guys to watch also, because I showed you guys that there are 12 constellations that circles around the earth, and the 12 constellations are markers for us to understand the huge earth clock in which we live. And something that is very important for you to understand, since 2016 something major has been happening, and it's pointing all towards now. But first, just to summarize what I showed you last video, on the spring we had a harvest. It is the harvest of the barley, which Jesus already harvested when he resurrected from the grave. So he resurrected some people from the Old Testament saints, which is the barley, and they resurrected on the 17th day of the first month, which is first fruits. So there was already a harvest back then with Jesus, which was the spring harvest, the barley harvest. We know that there will be a harvest in the end of the tribulation, which will be the tribulation saints. They are considered to be the fruits, because Israel will be in the tribulation. In Israel is a fig, which is also fruit, and we know from Revelation that the grapes will be also in the tribulation by the end of the tribulation, which are the enemies of God. So the fruits will be harvested in the end, and they are harvested and gathered for the 7th month, for the feast of ingathering, the Feast of Tabernacles. And we know for sure there will be a harvest in the fall, in the 7th month, in the month of Libra, in the month of the balance. And we are expecting a harvest for the summer harvest, which will be the wheat harvest, the church harvest. We are expecting it to happen on the 3rd month, 3rd biblical month, which is Sivan, called by the Jews. And we now know that we are 1 month. We were seeing it 1 month in advance, and now we know that the 3rd month will happen in July, after this new moon that are coming up in the skies. The 3rd month is when the Feast of the Weeks, the Feast of Shavuot, Pentecost happens. And the summer harvest is the harvest of the wheat, because Jesus is the Lord of the wheat. He planted the wheat, he sowed the wheat, and we are his wheat, his church, that is about to be harvested in the summer. So we are expecting a harvest to happen around here from the 3rd to the 4th month, when the full moon is happening, which is Pentecost, Feast of Weeks. So having said that, I'm going to show you guys what has been happening in the skies since 2016. Because in 2016 we had an alignment in the sky called by many the Star of Bethlehem. The Star of Bethlehem is a conjunction between Jupiter and Venus, which are both the brightest light in the sky, the night sky, and they are very big when they get together. So many are considering this to be the Star of Bethlehem. And this Star of Bethlehem, the conjunction between Jupiter and Venus, happened to the 27th of August in 2016. So you can see here in this screenshot that Jupiter and Venus aligned on the Virgin, on Virgo, in August 2016. So Jupiter and Venus came together here, and they appeared very big in the sky. Personally, I myself saw this in the skies, and it was huge. It was something different, clearly happening in the skies, and it was pointing the constellation of Virgo, the constellation of the Virgin. And we all know what has happened in the Virgin 1 year after this alignment here, 1 year after the Star of Bethlehem. 1 year after, something happened, something major happened in the Virgin, which is the Revelation 12 sign. So, what is the Revelation 12 sign? We all know this out of the top of our heads because this was a major sign that mainly everybody in the church that seeks out the signs of God has been aware that this happened. So what happened after the Star of Bethlehem in 2017? It was the Revelation 12 sign, which is what? A great sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head, which is 9 stars from the constellation of Leo, plus 3 planets, which are Venus, Mars, and Mercury. So 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 stars above her head as a crown of 12 stars. And she was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. So this was Jupiter that stayed for 9 months inside the Virgo. Jupiter, the king planet, stayed in the Virgin for 9 months, and he went out of the Virgin to form the Revelation 12 sign in the skies exactly on 23rd of September 2017. This was a major sign in the skies and brought a huge revival of the church since then, because we were all expecting the rapture in this moment, and a lot of people came aware of these end time prophecies because of this sign, and a lot of people started to be watchmen, watching the moments for us to leave this earth as a sign of the birth of the sons of God, which here Jupiter is representing. The other planets in the skies were like this, so they were pointing kind of towards the fishes and Aries here. They were not aligning here with the Revelation 12 sign, but this sign was huge. This sign was still so huge that we know that since the beginning of time, since the beginning of Adam and Eve, this hasn't happened yet, and it won't happen again for over 6,000 years in advance. So this is a major sign, unique, and with all these pieces putting together exactly on 23rd to 24th of September 2017. This was major, and we're all seeing this, and since then we have been watching and being vigilant about this because we know we are soon to be raptured because of this major sign, the Revelation 12 sign in the skies. So 1 year after the Star of Bethlehem in the Virgin on Virgo, we see the biggest sign ever, the Revelation 12 sign happening in the skies on Virgo. And this is very, very big. But it hasn't stopped there, because we know the following. Jupiter, since it left the Virgo, since it left the Virgin, it walked around the Earth all the way until it stopped here on the Aquarius, on the constellation of Aquarium. And in here, something major also happened. So we can see that the Jupiter was here in the Aquarium on 20,022 this year, and mainly in the 23rd to the 24th of February 2022, Jupiter was going through the waters of Aquarius. So this was so big because what this means prophetically for us is that the Jupiter, the king planet, the sun from the Virgin, that left the Virgin, was about to be born because the water broke. So when the water breaks, that means for us that the sun is about to be born. So you can see here Jupiter was going across the waters of Aquarius, and that was what was symbolizing for us. And on this day, something major happened on Earth that also points to this event, the birth of the Jupiter, the birth of the sons of God. because something major happened in the earth, which is the war with Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine enter into a war, and many people, many news media were saying that it was the first day of the new world order or the start of the third world war, as you can see here, and some news that I got for you guys to see. So 24th of February, expert on Ukraine. We've awoken today to a new world order. So many news were talking about the new world order when this happened. The Washington Post opinion: Putin's assault on Ukraine will shape a new world order. So they were talking about the beginning of the new world order with the assault on Ukraine. And that's when Jupiter were there at the constellation of Aquarius, precisely in the water. What else? Is this the start of the World War III or Cold War II? So people were questioning here if this was the start of the Third World War. What else? Russia attacks on Ukraine. The start of World War III. How the conflict will affect the world adversely. So many channels were talking about this event as the start of the World War III or the start of the New World Order. In Brazil here, I took some pictures, and they were basically saying that it was the first day of the New World Order. So you can see here the first day of the New World Order. They were talking here in Brazil. But we had even more things about this that goes even to today. So from 13th of June, the risk of using nuclear weapons peaks since the Cold War. So we are at a risk, a huge risk of a nuclear war, a nuclear weapon usage, since bigger than the Cold War. What else? Pope Francis, World War III has been declared. So he tells us he thinks that the Third World War started when Russia attacked Ukraine. For Pope, that's when the World War III started. 21st of June, US is closer to military confrontation with Russia than it seems. It's closer than it seems, so they are very closer to a confrontation with Russia, which means Third World War. US Chief of Staff warns that potential for significant international conflict between great powers increases, so they are warning us that a major war between major players, a Third World War, is about to begin very soon or has already begun with the war on Russia and Ukraine. What else? Ukraine invasion may be the start of the Third World War, says the Illuminati George Soros, the guy who has been literally financing a lot of garbage in the world, and he's a billionaire, and he's saying that the Ukraine invasion was most likely the start of the Third World War. What else? This is 20th of June 2022. Vladimir Putin claims Russia is building the new world order right now. So from now, this is 9 days ago. So they are building the new world order right now. What else? Russia calls NATO aggressive bloc after countries announce troop buildup in Europe. So this is from yesterday. Russia is calling NATO as an aggressive bloc of countries after build up troops in Europe. So the tensions between them are increasing even now as we speak. This is also from yesterday. NATO action in Crimea could lead to a World War III, says Russia. So they are literally saying that we are really close, about to begin a nuclear or a World War III, or about to shape a new world order, which we know will be the world order for the Antichrist. And this is from today. Ukraine tells NATO Russia wants to dictate future new world order. So they are literally talking about this even today. Especially today, there are some news saying that Switzerland and Finland, they received a formal invitation to enter NATO. So this could be very tense for Russia, because Russia has been saying that if that happened, both countries would become targets as well. So we are seeing literally this thing increasing a lot, and since then, since the first invasion, we have been seeing that this would lead to a new world order, to a third world war. And that all happened when Jupiter was crossing the waters of Aquarius, meaning for us that the baby who left uh, the constellation of Virgo, the baby, the king planet that we were all expecting to be born back then, was actually about to be born because the water broke. When the water breaks, it is soon to be born the baby. It cannot last many days after this because it is already ready to be born. So all of this happened where? When? On the 23rd to 24th of February 2022, which clearly points us a soon birth of the sons of God, the soon birth of the sons of the Virgin from the Revelation 12 sign, from the sons that are literally harpazo or raptured out of the earth. But this didn't stop there, because we know that after Jupiter goes through the waters of Aquarius, something else happened on the constellation of the fishes, on the constellation of Pisces, which is another star of Bethlehem. So another conjunction between Jupiter and Venus happens, but this time in the constellation of Pisces, in the constellation of the fishes. And this happened on the 30th of April 2022. As you can see here in this screenshot, Jupiter and Venus aligned again, but this time on the constellation of Pisces, on the constellation of the fishes. What is this saying for us? This is saying for us that the Star of Bethlehem that points to a birth is showing us again that the fishes, which are the sons of God, are about to be born out of this earth. Some will go towards the throne of God with the Lamb, but some others will return or stay behind in the Aquarius, which is the earth that we live on. So one goes and one stays behind. One is taken and one is left. This is what Pisces, what the Star of Bethlehem on the constellation of Pisces is showing us, basically, when we see the Star of Bethlehem here. So the Star of Bethlehem that literally was in the Virgin 1 year before the Revelation 12 sign showed us a sign of a birth. And after the water breaks, the same star again, it is Jupiter and Venus, appears in the fishes, which are the sons of God, which are the church, literally. Some will go and some will stay behind. And this is so major because all of the planets were kind of close to what that was happening. So we see here Jupiter and Venus aligned to form the Star of Bethlehem, but all of the planets were already closer to this sign here, closer to this side of the Earth, kind of like seeing what's happening here in the constellation of fishes. And this is major because that happened when the Sun was about to enter the first constellation, the constellation of Aries. So it's almost New Year for us, but it's still not New Year because the moon was not yet sighted. So there was no new moon sighted. So it was the last days of the last month that this happened. So this shows us that we don't have to wait 1 year, just like it happened to the constellation 12 sign, because this happened literally in the end of the year. So the year turned to the first day of the year on the May, a couple days after this alignment here of the Star of Bethlehem that happened on the fishes on Pisces. So this is very, very big. The same constellation, the same Star of Bethlehem was pointing the sons of God, the fishes. And now I wanted to see what was about to happen when the time was correct for the harvest of the summer to happen on the earth. So from the last video that I showed you guys here on my channel, which is this video here, everybody was wrong. the harvest is in the summer. That's when I showed you guys the clock of the earth. I highly encourage you to watch this video. But on that video, I revealed to you guys when we should expect to be when the true Feast of Pentecost, the true Feast of the Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks will happen, which will be when the sun is on the third month, the third biblical month, which points, the sun points to the constellation of the Gemini, the constellation of the twins, which is also an example of the church, because there are two twins, Jacob and Esau. One is loved and the one is hated. One is taken, the other one is left. So the sun is pointing the constellation of the twins, when Jupiter will be pointing the constellation of the fishes, which is also the church. And the moon will be full, pointing us that it is the moment to harvest, the moment of the first fruit of the wheat, the moment to harvest the wheat, which is Pentecost, Shavuot. And I went to see how will the planets be when this happens, when the true Pentecost, the true Feast of Weeks happens, and it will be like this. So as you can see here, the sun will be precisely in the first month of the summer, in the month to harvest wheat, the moment that we have been expecting to be the Feast of Weeks, the feast where the church was born and most likely will be raptured out, harvested as well. The moon will be full in the other side, but as you can see here, all of the planets are aligning towards one side of the earth, as if all of the planets are also testifying that one will be taken and the other one will be left, because they are all all in one side of the earth. They are all on the 50% side of the earth, as if they are also telling us that there will be a huge division, a huge separation of the fishes, a huge separation of the sons of God, which one will be taken and the other one will be left behind. So on this moment that I showed you guys in the last video, which will be the true Feast of Weeks, the true Pentecost, the true moment that is special for a lot of reasons, to harvest the wheat, to harvest the church, to harvest, to be, for the sons of God to be born. All of the pointers of this clock, which are the planets, all of the pointers are also testifying that they are in the correct moment of time, the correct manner, because all of them, all of the planets, even the smaller planets like Pluto, they are in one side of the earth, as if they are also dividing in half, just like the fishes is two, one will be taken and the other will be left, dividing in half. Just like the sun is on the twins, one will be taken, the other one will be left. So what we can see here is that everything in the skies, all of the pointers in the sky, in the clock, in our earth clock, are pointing toward the same division, the same separation of the fishes, the same separation of the twins, which will be the rapture of the church. One will be taken and the other one will be left. And that's the wheat who will be taken, and the tares will be left behind here to be proven by the fire of the tribulation. So everything we see clearly shows us that we are in the right moment, in the right spot, that will begin here in the next new moon in July, to be the third month to be the exact moment when we can expect the rapture to happen. Everything is aligning, every planet, every thing in the news, everything we see with inflation, with gas prices, everything is showing us that we are soon to be raptured out of this earth, and we see the skies are also telling us the same thing. Truly, if this ain't the rapture, I cannot think of another perfect moment like this, as we have already seen in the last video, to be the rapture, because this won't happen again, and I have no idea how long after this. So all of the things are showing us, all of the things are pointing to us for this moment to be the correct moment for the rapture of the church. Third month, biblical month, summer month, Pentecost, Shavuot, the feast of the rapture of the church, sun in the twins, Jupiter, the king planet with the relation to the sign, is on the fishes and the Pisces, and all other planets are on one side of the earth, divided in half. So this is major, this is big, this is huge, and I really hope that This revelation for you has been enough to make you believe that we are very, very soon to be raptured out. If you want a perfect date of when we can expect this, watch the last video. But I really hope to see you and all of the brothers and sisters who believe very soon in heaven with Jesus when he comes to get his bride, because we are expecting his presence to come in this earth to take us out of this earth as a bride waiting for his bridegroom. So I hope to see all of you who believe, who have been expecting this for a long time since the relation was signed as well. I hope to see all of you there in the air very soon when this finally happens, when our escape of the tribulation and when our rescue comes for us. Maranatha, I hope to see all of you there very, very soon.